There we go. Hey. Mm. How is everybody this Friday? Hope everybody's doing well. Probably got a few surprise people in here. Let's see what's going on. What was Oh, there I am. There I is. Okay. No sellout. What's the deal? Hey, Jamie. Hey, Tony. How's the sound quality? Using a little bit different microphone device today. Hey, Tony. Kind of digging the sound quality. I know y'all hear a little echo in the background with that, but just checking my own little sound check. You know what I'm saying? Good. We got 40 people in the house. 3 thumbs up, man. Can I get some thumbs up, man? That love you guys showed me the other day, I had to just say, that's why I'm doing this report for YouTube today. Usually I would just do a simple Patreon. Not simple. They're very complex, actually. Today's report is actually very in-depth. I hate to see that, people aren't, everybody's not allowed to, not allowed, how do I want to put that? Is not able to participate in such ventures, but I understand that everybody's path is different. And as you have a path, you got to take it. You know what I'm saying? But I thought with the overstanding support, over 400 likes, you guys deserve the rest of that report that I had from the other day. I'm also doing a Patreon right after this at 1 o'clock. It's a busy day, so I'm gonna try to hold out here for 2 minutes. Let's see if we can get 100 people. If we can't, at 12:09, we'll just play some theme music and get this party started. And really, really do appreciate the thumbs up. Really appreciate the love. It really matters to me, man. Thank you, guys. I know it doesn't always seem like I say thank you enough. Maybe I should. I'm just telling you guys right now, each and every one of you, thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel, and thank you for supporting me doing the news. And yeah, I want to do more of these, man. I want to go back, at least to doing 2 YouTubes. We've just got to find the support in there. You know what I'm saying? We find it, we do it. With the overwhelming support, with these over 400 likes on the videos, then definitely I will be giving repeat performances to everybody at least twice a week. This week befitting the most. So let's give a shout out. Gerald, shout out. Renee, shout out. Martin, shout out. Tony, shout out. No, I think I shouted you out a minute ago. Roberto, shout out. Vic, Rosa, Ron Knox, Peace, my G. Early today, ain't you? Yeah, I got house guests coming today. We got some, Miss BB's going on a trip. I'm going to be by myself. I wanted to make sure that I was set up in the different venues, so I'm doing it by myself. And I'm just trying to do my thing, you know what I'm saying? Robert, Venezuela, it's fine now. Daza, what's up? How's the sound quality? Sound quality good? Jed, greetings from South Africa. Man, I got people watching me in South Africa. That's mad love right there, for real. I don't think it's going to be a couple months, man. I think you got more like, even if it is a couple months, think about in these terms. Is that long? Hell, I've been waiting over 10 years. 3 months ain't that bad. I'm not really here to dismay or poo-poo on anybody's months or time frames. What I am here is to read the rest of that report and to give the good people deservingly what they asked for when they gave me those 400 likes. And man, you guys give me 400 likes every time. Shoot, I'll do follow-up after follow-up after follow-up for YouTube. That's mad love. We're changing up the way we do things. And it's just really appreciated, the love and respect that we're getting right now. Platinum YouTube, baby. Gerald, I get you, man. I get you. Lorraine, thank you. You rock, Mr. B. Thank you for your time. Houston, Texas. Yeah, H-Town in the house, baby. You know what it is. $12:09. It's that time. I hope you guys are excited for Militia's part 2. I'm about to drop the science and the knowledge in like 39 seconds. I'm going to give you the rest of that report you've been asking for. 105 people in the house came to see the business, and I'm about to bring you what you asked me to bring. And Patreon coming right up next. First of the month, every one of y'all, if you can do it, man, join Patreon. Best time of your life. I tell you what, the news and the information you get out of there, you won't get out of any news source anywhere. My news feeds feed 24-hour Dinar on a different level, different scope, different background. And like Muhammad Ali says, it ain't bragging if it's true, baby. That's why I come to tell you, you know, hey, everything is everything. But when you've got great friends, great family, great people around you, you can do nothing but say, all right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm going to get to the report. So I believe we ended somewhere where we were talking about, we knew that the Iranian militias were so far entrenched inside of Iraq that we knew that they'd taken over a lot of business affairs. They were involved in some financing of some projects. They were doing things such as changing how Iraq paid everybody. The brigades and the militias became part of the military, hey Daisy, procedures, and we knew that private banks were involved in siphoning money out. The Q card system had been corrupted to some fact. The militias controlled small oil fields. We know there was customs evasions, and we also know there were some taxes of goods in the countries that have been backed. Iran-backed bot organization, head of intelligence, Ali TAQQI, took over as director of Baghdad International Airport, and he therefore transferred it from a funk company controlled by U.S. designated terrorist Hezbollah. I can't stress to you guys enough how much Hezbollah and these tyrants that have infiltrated the infrastructure of Iraq have run roughshod up until late over the ecosystem or the actual investment itself. And it's made it quite difficult for you and I to realize our blessing or our actual physical outcome of what should have happened, because there was no way this was going to happen as Mahdi being PM of Iraq. As a matter of fact, we were probably doomed. And that's hard to admit, because when he was elected, I got on here and said, man, I'm really excited for this guy, blah, blah. He looks great on paper. Everything that glitters ain't gold, and everything that's gold don't glitter correctly. So with that note, I want to bring you this. So on September 2019, an Iraq-backed militia also had curtailed the U.S. coalition's effectiveness in helping Iraq fight the Islamic State by professionalizing Iraqi security forces. In March 2019 onward, in response to Al-Mahana's infrastructure, the chairman of the Popular Mobilization Forces, Falah al-Fayyad, cut off the coalition's access to predominantly Sunni tribal mobilization forces. See now why a non-Iranian tied PM is important, who had previously been an important source of intelligence and operational partnership in the Islamic State, redoubts like Nivea and Anbar. From about the same time, Badr took over the Iraqi Civil Aviation Authority. And remember, at that time, they had a corrupt Minister of Transportation. They were doing those flights from Iraq over to Syria. It benefited Iran. It gave them strategic position. It also gave them economic position, which they didn't deserve. Meanwhile, the Iran-backed militias used their control of the Prime Minister's office to remove some of Iraq's most seasoned and most celebrated soldiers, including the most admired combat commander, counterterrorism commander staff lieutenant general al-Wahab al-Saadi. He's considered that with that shifted the balance of power in Iraq. And this was likely to face a future of declining budget share, declining influence compared to al-Mahana's politically dominated Iran-backed PMF. Notice right there was a shift. There was a shift from the Iraqi budget from the military source to the militia shores, which again gives us an unfair advantage as far as collecting our dues. Not because it circulates more money, but because that's corruption. And like everybody says, you got to cease the corruption, or cease the Iraqi influence, and therefore you will realize your blessing. A lot of meetings were held between Mohandas and Fayyad at the Prime Minister's office with another gentleman named Abu Jihad. Next in line was a guy named Abu Muntadher al-Husani. His birth name is Tasahin Abid Mutar Al-Abbodi. He was a veteran of Badr, former PMF chief of operations, and he's the current advisor of the PMF affairs to the PMO. The names of the military leaders' divisions and the areas they are responsible for in the airstrikes are as follows. Al-Mohandas' own personal cadre took over the operational demand and the management of it. He was personally responsible for the crackdown on the protesters. So understand that even though the protesters, as you see them being hurt, harmed, maimed, killed, this is all Iran. And it's not so much that we have to watch it in dismay, but the subsidy of it's going to stop because this is Iran's total plan as a counter-protest. It's the same type of vision they take inside of their own country. You turn off the internet, you kill the protesters, they disperse, they go home. The one thing that I can sit here right now and tell you so bravely, the Iraqi people have stood up. Thousands wounded, hundreds killed, and yet they still rise. See, it's not so much that I'm not worried about if it happens, it's when it's happening. This bump in the road called this revolution was needed, whether you wanted to see it or not. Whether you actually can conceive the understanding that in chaos comes change. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Just like in any economic system, there has to be fundamental change for it to become priority. And once it becomes priority, then it has to become forcible. Once it becomes forcible, then it becomes law. IRGC QF militia control of the PMO carefully crafted over the prior year. That reign began to unravel in the face of strong domestic criticism by the Shiite religious leadership. Sadrists, the protesters, plus Sistani in condemnation. Prime Minister Abdul Mohandas' resignation accepted by Parliament on December 1st. Understand that that resignation was nothing more than a sacrificial lamb. He's an Iranian puppet, friend of Soleimani, close friend of Mohandas. As being his boss, they knew that he had to go to keep the protesters quiet, if even but for a little while. By then, Mohandas had crafted a budget. Wow. Hold on. To all you budget seekers out there. To all you people that read all the time in these blogs, the budget. Who crafted the budget? Mohandas had crafted the budget before he leaves office with a huge deficit and in its consulate states. Guess what? He made sure to include the PMU in that budget and again sending funding to not only his friends in the IRGC, but appeasing his handlers. The budget is corrupt. But the budget also gives a lot of truths. Because inside of that convolution gives the pathway to what they should be paying, which is Article 140, which is the HCL, which is the citizens, which is the martyrs. If you see those things inside the budget, it can't be overly convoluted. It can only be overly convoluted because of the share of the PMUs and its shares of funds being siphoned out to Iran. Now, with the inner circles of Iraqi and the U.S. governments, it was understood the IRGC, working with Mohandas, had placed probation on attacks on killing anybody in the U.S. forces. We know that came to pass. They killed one of our guys, and in return, we sent a little drone. I believe they cost about millions of dollars. They sought out, they harvested that rat bastard right there on one of the very roads which he planted mines, explosives, killed Americans, killed Iraqis, killed children. And you know what? May his soul rest in hell. And I don't make any qualms for that. If somebody feels differently about that son of a bitch dying, then cheers to you. Have a great day. But I believe that's one of the very proudest I am in this investment. On December 29th, in a little known airstrike that happened in a little place called Kata-IB, it was a Hezbollah sites, including 3 in Iraq, Anbar province, and 2 in adjacent areas in Syria. The site appears to have been sites that Hezbollah used for transfer missile rockets and forces to Syria. It was a known smuggling route and a formal border crossing of Al-Qam. The airstrikes were not highly publicized, and they were effective and crucial in taking out Hezbollah operatives, 25 of them, and over 50 wounded on December 29th. The dead included 4 mid-level leaders. This was the heaviest single-day casualty that Hezbollah had ever seen. Again, major blows to Iran, boots on the ground, and that's infrastructure. You got to understand that because you got to know who your opponent is, which is Iran, there's only 2 things that they actually represent or respect. One is a fierce military presence. We've done it twice before. One of them was called Operation Praying Mantis, and there was another. And in those, we went out there and totally just kicked their butt. They retreated, they went back in their shell, and that's what they do. See, a bully, once you punch them solely in the mouth or hit them in the nose, and their hands drop, that's the way you know you got them. But you got to punch a bully in the mouth and stand up to him. And that's kind of what I'm hoping that Israel does or Saudi Arabia does, and that we don't have to do. I need for kids to grow up in the region and for them to police themselves. You know, it's kind of like anything. It's easy to sit back and quarterback this, but it's hard to do it. I just wish Israel and Saudi Arabia and some of the other people there that want freedom in the region could step up and can tell Iran, shut the heck up, without fear or without persecution of them attacking them through their terrorist cells. Now, they showed force on December 31st in our U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. All the militia players were there. I told you that. Beyond Washington, the reverberations were even more consequential, upending the balance power among Iran-backed militias and between the Iran-backed militias and other political factions. It's called disarray. When you have chaos and you don't have a leadership, that's the problem with the Iraqi government. They've got no one there to hold their hand. No one's there to hold their hand, walk them through the process. And so now they're left to do what's called due diligence. They're not used to doing that. Actually, the Iraqi parliament's not actually used to working at all. Most of the time, they're used to being told what to do by Mohandas or Soleimani. And then they're gathered, put in place, vote. The Iranian government gets its will, and then boom, it's done. But now those things have shifted and changed. Everybody thought that it was going to cause a widespread vacuum, and it did. And inside of that vacuum, Brigadier General Ismail Qaani became the new leader of the IRGC. Now, I told you guys this in the last video. He's not quite as charismatic. He's not known to the Iraqis. Fundamentally, he lacks in Arabic, but he's much more knowledgeable about the Eastern Seafront for Iran. Now, the ambassador to Baghdad, IRAG MASJEDI, also the IRGQF veteran, will be a stopgap. There are several people that will take potential lead. Abdul Reza Shali, the man in Yemen, HAJZI, he has experience, but not a lot of actual practical worth. People find it funny that when I told you guys about a year ago about Sadr, that I had a gut feeling Sadr was a bad man. And Sadr, yeah, he's a bad man. That the IRGC wasn't going to reach out to him. So notice that Sadr's play these last couple days has been, he supports this guy Alawi, who's Nouri al-Maliki's biggest foe. Nouri al-Maliki might as well get the Sheikh in place if he's going to get Alawi in place. A noose is destined for his head. See, the infighting within the political infrastructure was usually quelled and calmed by a guy named Soleimani or Mohandas. But since those individuals aren't there to help cool out everybody and keep things smooth, it's a little bit more difficult. That's why picking a prime minister right now is crucial, because we can upend the system and we can change it and make it to our political benefit and also our economic benefit. Like I've told you guys before, I told you this last video, Sadr is more unpredictable. He's only partially in control of his followers, and he's notoriously difficult to work with. He seems at a glance to be the vision of something called Velayat e Fayat. It's a religious jurisprudence. It's a system in Iraq under his own leadership. But see, he won't follow that because see, Kahami or the Lebanese Hezbollah already follow that jurisprudence. And Sadr's view is different from theirs. He also has jealousies and enemies in people such as Nouri al-Maliki, Qazi al-Pawali. In better words, his vanity will work against him. He's losing supporters and he's losing them daily. You see daily in the news where his top people are stepping down, releasing their turbans. It's funny though, because many protesters that were killed since October 2019 by the Iran-backed militias were either young Sadrists within the protest or relatives of Sadr himself from East Baghdad, meaning that a lot of Sadr people, kinship, blood, relatives, lost their lives, shed a lot of blood, stood up for something that they thought he stood up for, and he abandoned them. He flipped on them. And when? In another note, former parliamentarian Mohandas was personally a very active parliamentary person. They called him the whipping man. The Iraqi parliament on keynotes, though he never did succeed in passing legislation to remove the U.S. forces, a likely indicator of the difficulty of the forcing census on the issue. Now remember this, today in the news you saw some very important information I'm going to report in Patreon later on about what the United States' next steps in being part of that culture. So you're going to see it, quite frankly, the United States ain't going nowhere. Iran's going to have to change their temperament for the region, not the region change the temperament for Iran. The dog don't wag the tail wags the dog. For too long, that bully has been a bully. And things are changing. On January 7th, the parliamentary vote. Now remember, January 7th, both those men were dead. They voted to remove foreign sources that showed that Iran-backed militias still lack the ability to construct parliamentary majorities in post-Soleimani and post-Mohandas period. In a 329-seat parliament, it requires 165 seats to reach quorum. Now, that's something every one of you guys should remember as being a Dinarian. There are 329 seats. It takes 165 seats to reach quorum. They couldn't muster but 130 MPs to show up for work. That's why I say it may take time. It could take a month. It could take two. But with the information that we're giving you right now, don't you think it's worth it to wait? You could put this money in a box and hold it and just figure it out when you do. But you know what's more crucial? If you're this diligent right now, how diligent will you be when you're a millionaire? Think about it. It's called time and study. The assassination of journalists, civil society organizations, organizers, activists, pro-Western personalities was and can still be expected to increase. Partially because Iraq doesn't have a true military presence to protect the citizens against the militia. However, there are a lot more citizens than there are militia members. And you can only go so much time with killing the innocent before the world stands up and tells you, you know what? Hey, I got Iraq's back too. And I'm not taking this shit. And we're going to kick your ass out of here. Sorry about the vulgarity. Sometimes I just learned it's better to say what I say and how I feel than to be something that I'm not. That's the end of the report. If you guys got any news here, I'm willing to talk to you about it. I'm going to refresh. Got 150 people watching. Man, dang, 150 people took time out their day. Thank you. Thank you. Only one thumbs down, that's it. Man, who's on here? Okay, I'm sorry, new to this. Tanya. Welcome, Tanya. If you're new to this, welcome. Yeah, Sadr's a traitor and a betrayer of his people. Authentic Engler, we need to pray for Trump. He's a large part of the reset. I don't believe in resets, which sits above the Iraqi Dinar RV. There's no such thing as an RV. The enemy is trying to prevent global reset. I believe the enemy is trying to prevent, if you're talking about a true enemy, I don't know what you call an enemy. I could talk to you about an enemy, but a true enemy to me would be the whole system as being these globalists, and I don't like to use that word because it sounds like a word that I've used with other people, but these people that are trying to just basically make this world turn into nothing more than a socialist platform. And that's wrong. You shouldn't be forced into that. If I choose to be politically active or a capitalist or a Buddhist or a Hindu or a pothead or whatever I choose to be, it's my choice. As being a human being, not an American, not anything else, is a human being. It's your choice. I think the world's tired of people shoving politics up their butt, and the pendulum swung so far that now they're starting to shove that back up the butts of the politicians that have done us wrong for so long. You know what? Prayer only works if you do something to make prayer work. I believe in prayer too, but there's this little joke that I heard one time about a guy that prayed to win the lottery. He prayed and prayed and prayed. Man, I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. I want to win the lottery. He prayed every day to God. He said, God, I want to win the lottery. Did it for months. And then one day, after all these months went by, God said, Brandon, I know you're praying to win the lottery, but you got to buy a ticket. That's what the protesters are for us. I hate to say it so coldly, but they're the ticket to success of the revaluation of the Iraqi dinar. President Trump having prudence over what militarily can happen inside of the country is important, but he doesn't ultimately have the power to flip the switch. The CBI governor does, unfortunately. If not, I would say differently. But if he did, like I've said 1,000 times before, for a year following, he would have already done it. Frank, what's up? Yeah, Mike, the USA, Trump have been a problem because they could have forced the issue. If you just want to be just truly serious about it, he had an opportunity to make it happen at Davos. He could have put Saleh in a chokehold and told him, You're going to do what I tell you to do because I own you guys. I own that country. I own it because I put forth the blood, sweat, and tears and the money to put forth infrastructure that all you thieves have been stealing from me for years. And now I'm calling for my money back. But he didn't. And maybe that's some larger political infrastructure that I don't know. But in my eyes, I truly believe that it's more so that, simply put, it doesn't happen because it doesn't happen that way. Meaning life doesn't work that way. Not that he doesn't work that way. Timing is everything. I've heard that my whole life too. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in faith. I believe in something so strongly that nothing disturbs my peace of mind. Well, I don't really have much else. I could sit here and preach all day, but I figured you guys are busy. It's Friday. I hope you guys have a super awesome weekend. Keep the faith. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Keep reading. If you guys want me to do 2 videos a week on YouTube, I could do one during the day on Friday, I guess. I could figure that out. Shout me out. B, do these videos, keep us going, whatever. Whatever you guys want to hear about. Let's get back to basics. Remember, reading, understanding of what you read, defining it, solving it. Repeat. Reading it, understanding what you read, being able to define it. Those are the main things as this investment goes. And so much people read and they can't understand it, or they read it and they can't define it. But once you start to read more and more and more, and you start to pick up on good information, then you start to simply understand that it's nothing more than effort and understanding. Wow. I went a little longer than I thought I would. Hey, Patreon, I'll see you guys in about 20 minutes. I hope you guys have a super awesome weekend. You guys give this one 500 likes. I'll do another video next week. We'll do 2 more next week. Let's do 500, man. I want 500. You guys give me 400. I still want 500 on the last one. I want 500 on this one. I'm not asking if you to subscribe. Just want the likes. And if you like the content and you like the ideas and please subscribe. There's a little button right there, and it says Mr. Brando. Right to the right, it's a red button that says subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. You can subscribe to more than one person. You can support more on one platform. There's more than one ideology in the world, and you know what? Mine's a little different. Excuse my French, but you know what? Being in the gang, it changed me. The dong is totally worth having. If you ain't got dong, you ain't got nothing. And you know what? I'm going to start my weekend. I got to get ready for this Patreon show. And you know what? Got my bear on. You know it's Polo. Y'all have a good night, man. See you guys on the flip side.